Good morning. Together again. It's been a while.
And you left me some coffee and it's still hot. Well, okay, I had to nuke it to make it hot again, but hey, there was still some coffee left over.
Well, wasn't that nice of me?
Very nice of you. I guess you could call it a, what do they call it, a belated birthday present, since yesterday was my birthday. So thank you for leaving me hot coffee, or some coffee for my birthday present.
So thank you everybody for the cards and the phone calls wishing him a happy birthday. Yes. So we were at the kids all day, so...
Very much appreciate the thoughts.
Yes, yes. So what are we going to be covering this morning?
Well, something that I don't like doing. Reviewing some nonsense on jw.org.
Yeah, but I want to thank June very much for sending this to me, and I'm sorry I was kind of out of it last night and a little bit brain dead zombie, but we got home late and I was tired.
You know how I really feel about this, Kim? I think I'd almost rather play Russian roulette with a semi-automatic handgun. Because this stuff is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. So our question is Samuel Hurd getting dementia, or the person that wrote this is completely clueless? Because first, I want to give it a little bit of context, and in the clip I'll give it a little bit of context. But in the governing body update number 6 that just came out yesterday, day before yesterday, on Friday, Samuel Hurd is talking about Eritrea. And he talks about there were good news, there was 28 Jehovah's Witnesses released. Well, let's play these clips and then I'll give it a little bit more context.
Speaking of good news, we rejoiced when 28 of our dear brothers and sisters were released from prison in Eritrea on December the 4th, 2020. They had been in prison for between 5 and 26 years. Why were they imprisoned? For their Christian neutrality. As we reflect on Negedi's endurance, we're reminded of all those who are currently enduring persecution or imprisonment for their faith. To you, brothers and sisters, enduring persecution in Eritrea, Russia, and in all other areas of the world, we are praying for you.
So Negedi's given an interview talking about him and 2 others who were in this prison camp in Sawa military camp in Eritrea, and they were put in prison, like Hurd mentions, for their Christian neutrality. Now, there's a few things we want to cover about that, but first, let me play again what he says at the end of this update.
To you, brothers and sisters, enduring persecution in Eritrea, Russia.
Did you catch it? He says, Eritrea, Russia. Eritrea is a country in itself. It is not in Russia. Now, when you go to jw.org website under news and type in Eritrea, it says Jehovah's Witnesses in Eritrea imprisoned for their faith. Witnesses in prison for their faith is 32. And when you look at any map, and I Googled it because I wanted to make sure it wasn't in Russia, and everything that came up about Eritrea is it's a country at the southern part of the Red Sea, right across the Red Sea from Mecca.
And it also borders the northern part of Ethiopia.
Yeah, so it is like in Central Africa, nowhere near Russia. So you just have to scratch your head. And one thing we want to bring up is about the Christian neutrality.
Yeah.
Because now what is interesting when he mentions Christian neutrality, and when you go to this web page, and I'm going to put the link down below so you don't have to go searching all over jw.org, but United States Commission on International Religious Freedom calls for release of imprisoned 80-year-old Eritrean witness. And you can look through all of these news items. You can even scroll down to 2019, August 30th, 2019, a special report, the persecution of Jehovah's Witnesses in Eritrea. So how come nobody has heard about Eritrea and how they're going after and persecuting Jehovah's Witnesses for their Christian neutrality? And it's interesting because Jehovah's Witnesses have actually gone, like it mentioned, to the international religious freedom. In editing this, I realized there was a special report done about the persecution in Eritrea. And I'm going to put the link down below to this too, because there's 3 documents and there is a booklet at the top. The first one is the special report. It's the persecution of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now when you open this in the PDF and scroll down to page 7, there's a subheading that says UN Human Rights Committee. So this backs up what I just said in the video about this being part of the UN. This is proof. It says in May 2019, the UN Human Rights Committee, CCPR, urged Eritrea to guarantee the effective exercise of freedom of religion and belief and to release all persons arrested or detained for exercising their freedom of religion, including Jehovah's Witnesses. The CCPR also requested that Eritrea ensure the legal recognition of conscientious objection to military service and provide for alternative service of a civilian nature for conscientious objectors. So this document right on jw.org that we know Jehovah's Witnesses aren't really going to read, they're not going to think to go look this up. How many are going to see this? That they went crying to the UN, just like we just said in our video. So back to the regularly scheduled video of the United Nations. And you have to be an NGO member to go to this commission. And
so they're actually entreating Satan's organization to release Jehovah's people from prison? Is this what this actually amounts to? Isn't that a conflict of interest on Satan's part?
well, the whole Christian neutrality thing, it made us laugh. How can they be NGO members still in Europe and going to these NGO meetings and asking for the persecution to stop? How is that being neutral? It's not. I mean, it's the hypocrisy. I mean, you're going to them. I'm speechless.
Well, hold on. I get it. I mean, it just came right into my mind, okay? Because, you know, you're going to hear, if you watch this whole garbage from Hurd, he's going to say, oh, they've been praying for 26 years for Jehovah's help, and yet Jehovah did nothing to release them. They had to go to Satan's organization. So the prayers ought to really be Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, Satan, the God of this system, thank you so much for letting our brothers out of jail, because that's all that amounts to. These people don't think.
Now, another thing about Christian neutrality is those of us that were Jehovah's Witnesses back in the, time period before 1975, we had all heard about the Malawi, Mexico fiasco. We didn't hear too much about Mexico and what was going on in there. And it wasn't until Raymond Franz came out with his book,
Crisis of Conscience.
Crisis of Conscience. I guess I'm still brain dead. That we learned about Mexico, and they were going on at the same time. And guess what? Thanks to Atlantis and Beastzilla, I have that letter that was written to the brothers back in 1969, right here. Thank you, Atlantis.
And Raymond Franz.
And Raymond Franz. Like I said, it is in the book Crisis of Conscience, and it's still available on Amazon. September 5th, 1969, Mexico branch. Dear brothers, we have your letter of August 27th. in which you ask a question about brothers who had registered in Mexico and are now in the first reserves.
Hey, something just dawned on me. August 27th. That's what today really is.
That's today. Oh my God.
That's what today really is. You know, when the source speaks, do you listen?
So that means that whoever wrote the Mexico branch on this, their letter was dated today, 1969. Wow. Talk about coincidence. And why did I think of this when I heard him talk about Christian neutrality? Back to the letter. The letter that you quoted of February 4th, 1960 covers the whole matter. There is nothing more to be said. The responsibility will be upon these individuals if they are ever called up as to what they are going to do, and that is soon enough to take any action. In the meantime, these brothers who have registered and who have paid a fee are free to go ahead in the service. Not that we are giving our approval in this matter, but it is their conscience, not ours. So you see, they were saying it was okay for these brothers to bribe the Mexican officials, and that they now had their card, and they were in the first reserves of the military.
What a stark contrast for those that had to sign a 25-cent political party card that actually died because of following Watchtower's nonsense. They'll never get it, Kim.
So this next couple of sentences pretty much tells us what Watchtower's attitude is about all of this. If their conscience allows them to do what they have done and they are not compromising in any way, then you just lay the matter on the shelf. See, and the same thing when they lie in courts.
Yep.
And all of these CSA cases, they have no qualms of lying, theocratic warfare. There is no reason for you to answer any questions or give comment to individuals, nor to enter into a discussion. Someday we may have to face the issue and they may have to make a decision, as the letter points out, and then it will be for them to decide. We cannot decide the lives of everyone in the world, but you've done exactly that.
Yeah.
Even those that don't become Jehovah's Witnesses, you've condemned them to die at Armageddon.
Yeah.
So you have decided the lives of everybody. You have decided that all of us that leave the organization are to be shunned by our JW family members. You have decided people's lives.
And someday is now.
Yeah.
Someday is now, and this someday has been going on since the internet, and more precisely, YouTube. Someday is now, Watchtower, because we have all of this stuff that you tried so hard to hide and keep out of the preview of people's eyes.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip down to the last paragraph, first couple of sentences, and if anybody wants this letter, you know what, I will just put it in a share file and put the link down below. The Society has always said that people should comply with the law. Oh, really? What about elders being mandatory reporters of CSA allegations?
Or even thus, when you swear on a Bible to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you are swearing allegiance to that law, and you people lied right under oath.
Look at Jeffrey Jackson.
Exactly.
Had his own silver Bible,
Yep.
took the oath to tell the truth in the Australian Royal Commission, and then lied through his teeth.
Lied through his teeth.
Okay, back to this. And if the individual has done what you have described in your letter and it does not hurt his conscience, then we leave the matter just as it is. There is no reason for us to decide another man's conscience, nor to get into an argument or controversy over the matter. Oh my God.
But they did decide the consciences of those JWs in Malawi. They did decide those consciences. My God, Jehovah's Witnesses, why can't you see through this veil?
Yeah. So why aren't the brothers and sisters he mentions in Eritrea allowed to bribe officials or whatever, try to get, secondary service instead of the military, whatever the case may be? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And now that this stuff has come out years later, guess what? Karma's coming back. It's taken decades. But guess what? And it's amazing that it just happens to be on the day, that person wrote the letter on the day that, we're doing this.
Hey, we're actually reading this again.
Yeah.
He works in mysterious ways.
I guess. So, I mean, it's up to you guys to decide. So, is Samuel Hurd getting dementia, or did someone write that in the on the teleprompter, or did he just add it in?
Well, and there again, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you've allowed yourself to go this far, I want to read a couple of scriptures to you because you Jehovah's Witnesses, like myself when I was one, I was proud of the fact that I knew the Bible better than anybody else, presumably. Now I know a whole hell of a lot more than just what Watchtower teaches you. But go to that scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20. Okay, start with verse 20. However, the prophet who presumes to speak in my name a word that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of in the name of other gods, that prophet must die. And in case you should say in your heart, which what all Jehovah's Witnesses have done, how shall we know the word that Jehovah has not spoken? Well, when the prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah, and the word does not occur or come true, that is the word that Jehovah did not speak. With presumptuousness, oh, wait a minute. Do you see yourselves as, well, that would be presumptuous to think that? Jeffrey Jackson just condemned himself through that Australian Royal Commission. I digress. With presumptuousness, the prophet spoke it. You must not get frightened at him. But yet you Jehovah's Witnesses are frightened at Watchtower because you fail to recognize that they said that this generation would end before the generation of 1914 would pass away from the scene of this world. That generation is dead and gone, and yet you are still frightened. You can't break through that fear. Now let me go on with another one. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and let me see here. Well, we'll just start with verse 9. But the lawless one's presence is according to the operation of Satan, with every powerful work in lying signs and portents, and with every unrighteous deception, for those who are perishing as a retribution because they did not accept the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So that is why God, which is Jehovah, so that is why God lets an operation of the generation of 1914 will not pass away, now become the overlapping generation, that they may get to believing the lie. Your God, Jehovah, Jehovah's Witnesses, is allowing this organization to continue to lie to you so that you'll believe the lie. God, your God, Jehovah, is responsible for this. Why? Because he's not stepping in to shut these men up. He's just letting them go. And you keep believing it, keep believing it, keep believing it. You have this knucklehead right here saying, some have been in prison for 26 years. What the hell do you think you guys were doing for 26 years? Oh, Jehovah, please help these people come out of jail. Please help. And yet Watchtower's got to turn to the United Nations to have that happen. Satan's organization. You're believing the lie. And you cannot tear through that curtain.
Yeah. Well, the one I think of is the superior authorities.
Yeah.
How many times was that changed?
Yeah. Or how about the whole doctrine of the blood fractions? It's against God's law to take blood fractions. And now a 2011, was it, Kim? They came out in a KM and says, well, taking blood fractions is now a conscious matter.
2006.
Yeah, 2006, thank you. How many Jehovah Witnesses died because of not taking blood fractions because it was against God's law? See, your God, Jehovah, is letting this operation of error go so that you'll believe the lie. And the biggest lie of all that you cannot see is that Jesus foretold in the time of the end that there would be a faithful and discreet slave dispensing food at the proper time. That food's garbage. There's no nutritional value in that food. Why? Because it's all been regurgitated. The generation that will not pass away, and then they regurgitate it as the overlapping generation. That curtain is still existing in your mind, and it's got 4 words on it. F-E-A-R.
So thank you for watching, and you all have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.